They don't say much, but their mind never shuts up. If you've ever been called quiet, reserved, or hit with the classic, "Why are you so silent?" This one's for you. Because talking less doesn't mean thinking less. In fact, psychology suggests it often means the exact opposite. Let's talk about the psychology of people who talk less but think more. And no, this isn't about being shy, awkward, or socially broken. It's about how some brains work on a completely different level. Here's something most people don't realize. Silence is not emptiness. For some people, silence is where everything happens. While others think out loud, these people think inward. While others speak to process ideas, these people process ideas before speaking. So when they finally talk, it usually means something. People who talk less often live in their heads. Not in a disconnected, floating away kind of way, but in a deeply observant, constantly analyzing way. They notice things most people miss. Tiny changes in tone, unspoken tension in a room. The meaning behind words, not just the words themselves. Their brain is basically running a background analysis 24/7. And honestly, that's exhausting. Which is one reason they don't talk much. They're already busy thinking. Let's clear up a big myth right now. Quiet people are not slow thinkers. They're usually fast thinkers just privately. By the time a conversation reaches point B, their mind has already gone to C, D, and E, then circled back to A just to double check. So when someone asks them a question and they pause, they're not confused. They're choosing the best answer. And yes, that pause makes some people uncomfortable, but that's not their problem. Psychologically, people who talk less often value accuracy over speed. They'd rather say one meaningful sentence than 10 random ones. They don't enjoy filling silence just to fill silence. You know those moments when a group goes quiet and someone panics and blurts out, "So weather's crazy, huh?" Yeah, these people don't do that. Silence doesn't scare them. It gives them space to think. Another interesting trait: they're usually deep processors. Their brains don't skim life, they dive into it. A single comment can send them into a spiral of thoughts. What did they mean by that? Was that intentional? Did I respond the right way? Meanwhile, the person who said it has already forgotten the conversation ever happened. That's the irony. The quiet thinker remembers everything. The loud talker moves on. This is why people who talk less are often misunderstood. Others assume, "They're not interested. They're judging me. They don't have much to say." In reality, they have too much to say. They're just deciding what's worth saying. Let's add a little humor here. These are the people who rehearse conversations in their head. After the conversation is already over, 3 hours later they're like, "Oh, that's what I should have said." Congratulations. Your brain has unlocked premium overthinking. Psychology also shows that people who think more than they talk tend to be highly self-aware. They reflect. They analyze their actions. They replay moments to understand them better. This makes them thoughtful, emotionally intelligent, and introspective, but it also makes them prone to mental fatigue. Thinking deeply all the time is not peaceful. It's loud, just quietly loud. Another reason they talk less: they hate superficial conversations. Small talk feels like chewing tasteless food. It's not offensive, just unsatisfying. They don't want to talk more. They want to talk meaningfully. That's why when they finally meet someone they connect with, something interesting happens. They open up, and suddenly everyone's shocked. "Wait, you talk?" "Yes, just not with everyone." People who talk less often prefer listening. Not passive listening, active listening. They're picking up patterns, understanding perspectives, absorbing the room. And because they listen more than they speak, they often understand people better than people understand them. That's a quiet kind of power. But there's a downside. Because they don't speak constantly, their thoughts can pile up, unexpressed ideas, unsaid emotions, unshared opinions, and when everything stays inside too long, it can turn into overthinking, anxiety, or emotional exhaustion. So while silence is comfortable, too much silence can be heavy. Here's something important. Being quiet does not mean lacking confidence. Many people who talk less are confident enough to not need constant validation. They don't need to prove their presence through noise. They know who they are even if others don't. And honestly, that makes some people uncomfortable. If you're someone who talks less but thinks more, understand this. Your silence is not weakness. Your pause is not ignorance. Your quiet mind is not empty. It's busy. It's observant. It's deep. You don't need to change your nature to fit louder spaces. You just need spaces and people where depth is valued over volume. Because when quiet thinkers finally speak, people listen. And when they connect deeply. So if you've ever felt invisible because you weren't loud enough, remember this. The loudest minds aren't always the most powerful ones. Sometimes the quietest people are thinking the most important thoughts, even if they never say them out loud.